Okay, so I'm finally here. I call this place the Deer Leap. It's kind of an old field, a kilometer from my house, up in the woods. When we first moved here in 2021 during the pandemic, we left the village we lived in and went about 7 kilometers outside of the village to this nice forest house. And the first week I started exploring all around the forest, and I found this place and it was full of deer jumping over this hill back here. And so I call it Deer Leap because they were leaping from it. It was my first impression, and then I turned down the hill here and through the forest, and I heard a rustling of a wild boar, and it was quite scary actually. That was my first week at this house, and now we're planning on moving into the town, into the village again. We'll see how that goes. So this is my first English speaking video. It wasn't supposed to be. It's mostly been Swedish content on here. It started out as just a video or YouTube version of my podcast, Folkpodden, which handles different topics from folklore and religion and history. I started out mostly focused on Asatru, the Nordic spirituality or religion, and mine and others' attempt to reviving it, seeking that spirit, the old spirit, you know. And in the words of musician Einar Selvik, I think I always used to paraphrase or cite him as to make something new from something old, and that was truly what we were trying to do. But it quickly transformed from that, the podcast. It transformed into a love letter to storytelling. Because I grew up with parents and grandparents who loved to tell stories. My father especially. He used to tell us ghost stories, all the kids. And we were far too young. We weren't supposed to hear those at that age. But he told them anyway. I remember my aunt being really mad at him for scaring my cousins when they were too young. But he loved it and I loved it. And you know, scary stories are the best stories. Everybody knows that. I love a good love story or drama or sci-fi or action or whatever, but spooky stories or horror, that's the best. You know, you feel the most alive when you're terrified. I guess kind of makes you appreciate the safety that you feel in normal life, and which can be far more terrifying sometimes when just paying the bills these days. But as far as storytelling, this YouTube channel was just a video version of the podcast. I just wanted to see if I could grow an audience, the same audience that I had on the podcast side, on the video side. And so I started to do some extra content for the podcasts as well. But you know, time is a precious thing. I have 3 kids and a wife and lots of engagements outside of my full-time work. And I am a professional procrastinator, you could say. I always dream of doing things, and yet I'm still passive. I'm half in, half out, as Martin Shaw would write in his book Liturgies of the Wild, which I might come back to because I love that book. It's helped me a tremendous amount this last year. But anyway, I made a movie once, or started to make a movie, from one of my podcast episodes called Tales from the Untersberg. The Untersberg is a mountain outside of Salzburg in Austria and Germany. It's right on the border, northern Austria. And so I visited there in 2019 and I started to be very interested in it and started to research all the folklore around it. And I translated all of this really amazing stories about the mountain and the nearby villages and towns that I could find in old German and Austrian German into Swedish, and I produced 2 podcasts out of it. The first one was Tales from the Untersberg, and the second one was kind of, you know, the sequel, Return to Untersberg, which handle a bit more modern occurrences and strange mythology around the mountain. But anyway, I wanted to make a film out of it, so I bought a lot of equipment. I planned everything out. I started recording, so I have the first sort of chapter in the book is already finished. I have the movie ready, but it felt empty with just me like this reading from a book, a giant book, in which I had printed all the stories. And I wanted to animate and do all these things. And this was before AI, probably 2020, 2020, this point. But it felt a bit empty. So that was supposed to be my English content start for this big project I had. And I was all alone in doing it. I never asked anyone for help, as usual, and it kind of fell out. Took more and more time to produce and never got finished with it. I might post it on here just for fun as some bonus content because I really like it. Especially the intro is I'm very pleased with. But I turned it into a book instead, and the book is pretty much finished. But did I publish it? No, I never get around to that either. As I said, I'm a professional procrastinator. So this brings us to today. The reason why I'm making this video, just to say hello to whoever's out there watching, listening, and in English, because I want to reach as many people as possible. About 2 years ago, my father had a cancer diagnosis, lung cancer. He was quite vague about it to begin with. He didn't really want to tell me what it was. I think he knew what it was. And it's a bit of foreshadowing saying knew, because you'll probably know what happened. So he lived with the cancer for about 18 months. And on, I think, last 2 days, this last weekend of October last year, 2025, he got the message from the doctors that they would stop the treatment. They couldn't do anything more, just give him pain relief basically, and trying to help him live as good a life as possible the last part of his life there. And on that Friday, he met an old friend. They had some drinks and had a really good time. I spoke with him the same night, sent some pictures of me and my son skateboarding, and on that night, the cancer had wandered up into his brain and started not really troubling his memory, but his balance, mostly his balance. And he couldn't really sleep and he couldn't really walk, and so he fell a lot. And that last night, between Friday and Saturday, he fell 3 times. And the last time, he hit his head in the floor of the bathroom. And he never really came back. He started just mumbling, hallucinating a lot. So they rushed him to the hospital, and he ended up in hospital in Landskrona, where he lived. Same hospital he was born, just down the hall from where he was born. It's a very poetic way to go out, basically. Me and my brother got word, and we drove down, and I spent the last days with him, day and night, watching over him, keeping him company. My brother did too. It was a beautiful and utterly terrifying experience. It was the only thing I can compare it to was when my daughter was born, my first daughter. This feeling of lying there in the hospital in an extra bed, just listening, are they breathing or not? A sort of static or prolonged status of anxiety and panic, and it's all out of love. Because you don't want to lose that most precious thing that's so close to you. And of course, all good things must come to an end. And on November 5th, he passed away. I was just going down to the parking lot to meet my wife and kids because they were coming by to say hello. My brother was in the room, and I had only just left and taken the elevator down, and he died, basically. So I rushed up in panic. My brother called me, and no, it was a real shock. I knew it was coming. Everything pointed to that very day, but still it's a shock. You don't really want to give up on life. And we are very much afraid of death, in the Western culture at least. I've always been fascinated by death. And I wasn't that afraid of dying myself. I wasn't then, I wasn't before, and I'm not now. But I'm afraid of other people dying for sort of a selfish reason. Because I don't want to lose them or my experiences with them. And what is life but a series of experiences? And but that week or half a week with my father, it taught me a couple of things. It taught me that he was a person, because I've heard all his stories. He was a storyteller. And he had told me many times that he had no regrets through life. He had always done exactly what he wanted to do. His parents always enabled him to do whatever he wanted to do, no matter the cost or the stupidity of the task or quest at hand. He just did it. So he had no regrets. Perhaps he had said things he shouldn't have said or might have regretted saying or doing, but all in all, he had accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And it made me think about when I was a kid and what I wanted to do and what my dreams were. And I sort of haven't accomplished any of them at all. And that came rushing back to me when he passed. But what I have accomplished is I have a very good job. I have a beautiful wife and I have 3 beautiful children who are very smart and talented. And I love them to death, all of them. And I have a house, I have a phone, camera, I have all the equipment I can want to create everything I want. But I don't have the drive or the passion. I seem to be hesitant or passive, unlike my father. And in that moment when he passed, I think the day after, I realized that might have even have been the same night when we drove home from the hospital, that I can't let passivity come in the way. Not anymore. Because it can't be clearer that we only have one chance in life, basically. When you lose your father, it comes very clear, as a man at least. A parent, I guess. It doesn't have to be a father, but he was very inspirational to me in that way, just regarding music and film and storytelling, and he loved all those things. And the other thing I realized was that I'm turning 40 this year. So this is the definition of a midlife crisis, I think. I realized that I have to start publishing or putting out the things I want to put out. Things that I enjoy creating and things that I dream of sharing but I never do. And I think even if the quality of those things can be questionable from time to time, well, most of the time probably, but I have a lot of fun creating them. I have a lot of fun dreaming up worlds, and I want to share them with you. So that's a really long-winded way of saying welcome to the channel. And I want to explore with you things that I dream about, the worlds and the words and the poems and the films and the music, all of the things that sort of whirl around my head and my soul and keep that fire burning within. I want to really breathe new air into that fire, let the embers take shape again into a big burning sort of pyre. I really want to share it because it's honestly, not sharing it is slowly but surely killing me. It is leading to questioning my own imagination, my creativity that I had as growing up. It's questioning my faith. I have faith. I've gone in and out of faith my whole life. I've been searching for God in so many ways, some good and most bad, but I never hurt anybody, I hope. That's the most important thing. But we can get into that later in another video. But I want to share with you the things that I found on this quest of mine. And a lot of it make up good stories. So I want to tell you stories. And I really, really want to be better at just talking like this, because there's no script in this. There's just a thought about what I want to tell you. And I've only done scripted podcasts. I've never done one interview, but everything is scripted down to the last detail. Everything's produced and edited. And I think that's what builds the expectation for me for everything to be perfect. And I have to get out of this perfect suit and show the real me. And perhaps in the making, find the real me. Because I don't really know who I am sometimes. So it'll be a deep dive into that. Storytelling, role playing, because we all role play in life. Exploring some deep and mystical topics, religious topics, some fun topics, beautiful music, great movies, terrible movies that I love anyway. And hopefully I'll hear back from you as well in the comments. So, like everybody else says on this platform, please like and subscribe this video. Stay tuned for more. There will be more. Shorter format, longer format. Whatever just flows into my mind, I want to shape just a little bit and put out for your amusement, for your interest. And hopefully it will give you and your embers and your flame a new breath of air, fresh air. And hopefully we'll have fun together. Thank you for listening. My name is Linus. You're watching Frontier Unknown. Bye for now.